So we have Jordan up here, Steve. Steve is the co-founder of SuppCo, along with a lot of other companies. You can explain all of them. I know a few: GroupMe, Splice, Blade, which I need to take Blade next time I'm in New York City. I know many more. Jordan is in Boston. He is the head of science for SuppCo. And yeah, we're going to have a little conversation that hopefully adds some value for you guys.
Awesome. So I know, Eric, you have your crew here. Steve, you have the SuppCo crew here. But I think on the reverse, don't really know each other, you guys, super well.
Yeah.
So Steve, maybe give your 30, 60 second, your background, et cetera. So Eric, I want you to do the same, and then we'll kind of really get into some of the depth here.
Cool.
All right, so I don't know whether to do the health story or my founding story, but I'll start with my health story. So as a kid, as you may have noticed, I'm very tall. I'm 6'5". But as a kid, I was very overweight. It's been as high as 300 pounds in my life. I played all the sports because they wanted me to become great at being 6'5", but even a full season of football, I would not lose weight and I would not put on muscle. And medicine kind of failed me as a kid. I was on the low end of normal for my thyroid, but no doctors wanted to do anything about it. By college, I was 300 pounds and could never get control of my health. Was a programmer, so I like hands-on building software is kind of my thing. And then we sold my first company. It's really nostalgic to be in Austin at South by Southwest. My first company, GroupMe, we kind of pioneered group text messaging and debuted our app here at South by in 2011 with a GroupMe grill where you stamped our logo onto some grilled cheese and give it out.
Party that year.
We're a good party.
Yeah. And we use GroupMe as my software company to communicate with you.
It's a nostalgic era. So it's great to be back and speaking this year. So the journey continued. We sold GroupMe to Skype very early on, and I was like 267 pounds and pretty unhealthy at that point, and recommitted to diet and exercise, but needed to find functional medicine to kind of change my life. And in that process, I was building my medications and supplements and keeping them in a Google spreadsheet. I would share them to my friends to try to get them on health kicks. They'd be like, "What did you do? This is so amazing." And no one wanted to hear diet and exercise. No one wanted to hear, it was 10 years before Ozempic was a thing. So, I'd share my spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet was super out of date and ugly, and they didn't know what to do with it back then. I talked about it at the panel, like I was very ashamed of what I was doing back then. It was the biohacker culture was, like I was kind of on my own, and I just felt really deficient in things and needing help. But kept building software over the years. As you heard, I built Splice, Blade, ran Splice for 10 years. And after that, I wanted to build again. And, we're going through such a revolution in consumer health. It's an amazing time to be in the space. I wanted to get back to sharing the stack and what supplements you take and kind of get that out there. Started with that as a core idea, and then really started, met Nick, my co-founder. Brandon and I were hacking on all the data to try to get it so you could add things to your stack, and finally realized that so much was wrong with the supplement industry. And then that led us, I don't need to go into all the SuppCo details yet, but that led us here.
So most of you guys have probably only known me for the last few years since I've been on Instagram, but if you look at my Instagram post today, you can see what I look like in my late 20s. I posted a picture when I was snorkeling, I think in the Bahamas. That was 2009, and luckily digital cameras existed then, so I do have some high-end pictures of when I was extremely out of shape. I found a personal trainer in my late 20s, and over a 6-month period, I committed to 5 days a week, hitting workouts with him, and I was doing CrossFit type workouts before I knew what CrossFit was. And that journey led me to triathlon. I had no background in swimming, no background in biking. I did run cross country and track in high school. I played basketball in high school, so I was into sports in high school, but had gotten massively out of shape in my 20s. And I really fell in love with triathlon, and I started to recognize that training at that level wasn't just to have an aesthetic or to perform in sport. It was so much more about how I felt. I just had tremendous all-day energy, mental clarity, and I felt like I was just actualized into the best version of myself. So I've continued doing that for the last 17 years, and competed in Ironman, High Rocks, CrossFit, endurance mountain bike races, ultra races, and ultimately I love working out. I love contrast therapy. I love hosting community-based wellness events, and I love inspiring people to get into wellness because it impacted my life for the better so much.
Awesome. I love it. And my name is Jordan Glenn. I'm the head of science at SuppCo. I have a PhD in exercise physiology. But for me, that comes from a very theoretical place, what the research says. But I think tonight we get to go a little different, right? We get to talk about transformation. We get to look at real world examples. Steve, Eric, you guys both, you kind of started in similar places of unhealthy, something needs to change, et cetera. For both of you, what was that moment when you decided, oh shit, like I got to do something about this, something's wrong?
The moment for me was in Bolton Landing, New York. I was with my parents on a vacation. I had a fairly tight button-down shirt on, and I looked down at my arm, and I had this layer of fat that was hanging out. In that moment, I was like, wow, I've really let myself go. So it was very aesthetic-based, but I also, every afternoon I had this lull. I was driving 50,000 miles a year, selling insurance in upstate New York. I was sitting a lot. I was eating unhealthy, and I just didn't feel energized anymore. So I hired the personal trainer, and I needed that accountability. I needed the structure. I needed the knowledge, and then I've just layered on different things after that. But it was very aesthetic-based, but the reason I stuck with it was the feeling of that endorphin rush after a workout and the mental clarity and the energy that you get from exercising. Movement is medicine is the moniker I live by, and I really feel like the more you move, the better you feel.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that right after we had sold GroupMe. I kind of always, whenever you ask that question, I see myself in the office the day that I feel like I was like, fuck, like I want to live. Like, this is not. Yeah, sorry. I got you. It was a day in the GroupMe office where I felt like I realized we were selling the company, and I looked at myself and I was like, I want to live. And I was super unhealthy, and as many different times I had tried to commit, it honestly took hiring the personal trainer, I think, for me. Mm-hmm. Like I don't have the core motivation to drive myself hard enough. And as soon as I get caught up in a work thing, I was telling you this before we started, like if I touch a computer keyboard before I work out, I'm screwed for the whole day. That's just me. So I have to force myself to get that in first thing in the morning, either a class booked or with a trainer to hold me accountable. And I remember that moment. I also got a DEXA scan where I was over 30% body fat, and I was like, forget 30 under 30 lists and stuff. Like I need to be under 30% body fat for the rest of my life. So that was a big commitment.
That's the 30 under 30.
See, I love this because the thing that you both did was hire a personal trainer, but for very, very different reasons. An aesthetic perspective, a how I feel perspective. I think a lot of times when we think about fitness and wellness, there's almost a bit of a taboo on being like, I want to look a certain way, and I think it goes to show like there is no right way to come into fitness, to come into wellness, to come into health. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I've seen a lot in my career is when somebody decides they want to get healthy and they want to make changes, they do everything at once. Let's think about the New Year's resolution style, right? I'm going to supplements, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to diet. How did you guys avoid this trap? This is something everyone falls into, and it seems like you guys were able to surmount it pretty comfortably.
Mm-hmm. For me, it was doing one thing until it became habit. So first was the personal trainer, understanding what exercise was, how I could do it habitually. And then it was diet. I had a friend who was a bodybuilder in Buffalo, New York, and I quizzed him on how do I fuel these intense workouts I'm doing? How do I recover from them? What are your macros like? And he gave me a diet to follow. And then it was sleep. I was training 20 plus hours a week with triathlon. My cortisol was really high. I was having a ton of difficulty sleeping. So I just studied various different sleep protocols, sleep supplements so that I could sleep better. And then I got into contrast therapy and infrared sauna and ice baths, and that was the recovery unlocked. So each one was a period of time where I really focused on that until it became habitual, and ultimately it's all now become a lifestyle. But it was tackling one at a time so I didn't overwhelm myself. So I think it is important to pick one of them, find someone who's gotten where you want to go, find someone with the knowledge that you need to help you with it, and do it repetitively until it becomes habitual.
It's funny. I think vanity is actually a really great motivator, and I think like when you can see change, it motivates you to go further. And I actually really struggled with that because I'd been overweight so long that even if I would gain mass or lose weight on a scale or a DEXA scan, you really wouldn't see that much in my body. Like you could see that I lost a lot of weight, but eventually it led me to the point where I got a tummy tuck. I have a large scar across my belly, but I had a large amount of skin that just like you could never get to go away, and it really killed my motivation. Because I'd be like, no matter how much weight I'd be 208 pounds. I could do all and like I wouldn't look anywhere close to the way that I felt comfortable looking. So, for me, I don't know. You could argue that I am in my head over it, but like I don't know. I honestly, it was the best decision I ever made in terms of keeping my motivation levels up and like pushing myself further. Because I think that seeing change is a huge motivator. I think there's a limit. Where you can get overwhelmed by things. I don't think I've ever hit that limit, to be honest. And so, yeah, for me, it's an ongoing struggle to stay engaged and motivated. But luckily, I unlocked another phase for myself.
And I think so. One of the things I've seen a lot in my career is people get started even if they're focusing on one thing. They're like a day goes by. Oh yeah. Sorry about that. One of the things I see a lot is a day goes by, a week goes by, you're not seeing change immediately. How long did it take for you guys to actually start to really feel changes that you were like, this is working?
For me, it was probably 2 to 3 months in. I also was getting body fat tests. I think my body fat was in the low 20% range, and it went down to 16, it went down to 14, it went down to 12. So that was a sign that what I was doing was working. And also, when you go from 20 down to 14, you can see that. You start to see some lines in your stomach. You're like, I want more of these. Wow, I wonder how many abs I have. So yeah, having a way to track it is really important. And then when I got into triathlon, it was all about the metrics. Like I became obsessed with heart rate training, going further, going faster, heart rate coming down, with my pace going down as well, wattage on the bike. And I still pay attention to all of those metrics because I do think that we're all motivated by progress. And I think what many miss is sticking with something long enough to get enough progress that you want to keep going with it, especially in skill-based activities, because it can get really frustrating swimming, for example, when you only spend a month doing it and you don't really progress because you haven't done it long enough to hit that progression curve where you really hit flow state and you start to see it come together.
Yeah, for me, because, as I said, the athletics, I'm like not making the progress in the same way or tracking myself that way, but I do track my biomarkers pretty seriously. My function. I'm in my 20s when it comes to biological age. I really care about that stuff. So for me, even if I'm not necessarily getting and honestly, I had to do that over a long period of time, and it gets more challenging as you get older, and kind of staying tuned in that. So. Look, there was the initial transformation, which you're just burning tons of weight, and that's great. And then that was kind of easy. But now, for me, my goals are much more around being around for my kid, and like longevity more than, I'm in health and wellness, but to be honest, I've only got like 4 or 5 days a week, 90 minutes max a day that I'm going to be able to doing anything, good for me. The rest of it is going to be building and doing stuff and all that. So I have to, it's a hard one for me also when I think about some of the social media content too, that like, man, how much time everybody has in the day. I have to really optimize for like, I got this amount of time between the nanny comes and the work starts, and that's my little window. And so just being able to use that time effectively to optimize for kind of my longevity and, putting on the muscle that I need to now to have it as I get older, like being there to watch, my son Jackson get to full form is kind of my goal.
And so that I want to go a little further on that, because you talk about, and for both of you as well, but you talk about like you have a certain amount of time each day to really focus on your wellness, your health. What are your non-negotiables? Like, what are you like, if everything else is going to fall off, this is not?
Yeah, I mean, I have the personal trainer. Like, I have to, like, I made that commitment. And I have broken that commitment in the early days. I'd say of SuppCo, I kind of broke the commitment very 0 to 1 kind of moment. But then, whenever if I'm not exercising at least 4 days a week, I know I'm failing myself. And like whatever my pace car is, because I can be building all the time, that is off. And so that is a non-negotiable for me. And then also I found that I have heart plaque. I started tracking my doing calcium scans of my heart at age 30. And so I didn't have any plaque at age 30. I did have plaque at 35. And so I was off the charts, but that was because there was no one who got a calcium scan at 35, so they didn't know how to compare me to that. But it showed plaque, and I started statin treatment, and getting I did at 40 have more plaque. So even with statin treatment, I was getting more plaque. So I have to aggressively monitor my heart. So non-negotiables, and like sauna is my 2026 and beyond. Like 4 days a week in the sauna is the commitment. I found one real close to my house. Didn't build one in the house yet, but it's probably coming. So those two things, managing my heart and forcing the workouts first thing are the list for me.
Hitting a morning workout is pretty much non-negotiable for me. I mean, I am taking a full day off before a competition, after a competition. Outside of that, I'm moving almost every single day. Some days that's an easy bike ride, an easy run. Other days it's a really hard CrossFit workout. But I always feel better after I get some type of movement in. And, I've just put myself in environments where it makes it easy. There's not a lot of friction within my friend group to get outside and hit a bike ride, go for a run, hit a gym workout, do contrast therapy at night. And we've also designed our environments around this, having gyms in the houses, having this setup here. It makes it easy to do. It's kind of like having a pantry filled with single ingredient foods or having it filled with candy. Like, you're going to do what's around you. So for me, it's just been about having that friend group that reinforces the things I want to do and being in environments that reinforce what I want to do.
Love it. So, talked a lot about physical activity, but we got the SuppCo crew here. We're talking about, so I want to go into supplements a little bit here.
Yeah.
I want to hear about both of your, with a little bit of your stacks. How do you, building a supplement stack is hard. There are so many supplements out there that do so many things on paper. How do you go about curating your own specific stack that's actually going to work for the benefits you're looking for?
I look at SuppCo.
Nailed
it. Give me 5 gold stars. So, being in the space, I have a bit of knowledge about it, but I also still lack a lot of knowledge. I mean, literally on this run that we were just on, you were educating me that I need to be doing 30 days of beta-alanine to really get the benefits of beta-alanine. I didn't know that. I thought beta-alanine was something I could just take as a pre-workout to get the tingles and I'm going to go harder. But to get the true benefits, you have to load it. So, I'm still learning. But for me, the non-negotiables, creatine, at least 5 grams. I'm having that every single day. I take a sleep supplement with magnesium, melatonin, what else is in it? Beam Dream or Cherry Bundy Sleep are the sleep supplements I take. I have caffeine in the mornings. If I don't have caffeine, I'll have a Ketone IQ with or without caffeine. I really like supplements that you feel something from. Like, I sleep better when I have a sleep supplement. I have energy from an energy supplement. So those are the ones that are just non-negotiable. And then collagen, as we age, we lose collagen, the body's ability to produce collagen. So I've supplemented with collagen for 5 or 6 years now. And then I take a natural testosterone support supplement that has vitamin D, boron, DIM, ashwagandha, and zinc. And I take some type of nutrient supplement each day, whether it's like beef organ supplement or a green supplement, just a supplement for any deficiencies with vitamins and minerals. That's my general and timeline for mitochondrial health. So, MitoPure.
Yeah. So, 15 years I think the stack's been made, and it started with creatine. It's kind of the OG. And then, when I got my first functional labs done, it was like, oh, you immediately need to take vitamin D. And most people in the Northeast living indoors all day need to be taking vitamin D. So that was like a quickie, an easy one. And then, I did a lot of additions on biomarker data in the beginning. So my homocysteine was high, and I got a good B complex in there. Designs for Health's homocysteine supreme, actually, which brought it right down. And then, magnesium stuff. Then there's fun stuff that I'm trying now. There's a company, Fit Binomics, that has looked at the gut microbiome of elite athletes and have found that they have specific strains that are absent in the normal population. And so they've made, probiotics of it. which is, trying it out. I'm doing well right now, but like it's new, So things come in, things go out. Timeline's in there, magnesium breakthroughs in there. You can see my stack at supp.co/Steve. It was in the Wall Street Journal today, actually. We read an article today, a picture of my stacks in there, which is pretty funny. But I do think it's an evolution, and I think that's it's some of the things I have trouble with when people are like, start with this 75 nutrients, and you have no idea if one of those nutrients is going to impact you the wrong way, and you don't know which one it is. And so, we have people on SuppCo as they come in, like pick health goals, and I'd say we start relatively slowly, actually, with the recommendations for people, and then it comes down to like, what's your budget? Because it gets expensive, what does the research say, as we know? And then I do love the number one thing, adjusting to the biomarkers, so it's very clear.
I mean, very quickly, you can see just from these two gentlemen here, building a supplement stack is not easy. It's hard. There's a lot of opinions, a lot of conversations. SuppCo exists to help people understand what supplement for what reason at what time with how much and what brand should you be taking. So if you're not downloading it yet, you should track your stack.
But I think so much too is you just don't feel it from a lot of different supplements. So like, is it working? I think that's the question many of us have is like, okay, like all these companies tell us it's good and it works, even myself, but I'm like, I don't feel it per se. So how do I know if it's working?
It's a great
Question for you, Jordan.
Yeah, it's a really, really great point, and I think there's two ways you can do it. My mic is not a mic. It's just I have to just yell, which is great.
Same with your Steve.
Oh, there's no mics.
No, those are just for recording.
Oh yeah, I know he wasn't recording.
No, biomarkers are the single best way that you can know if your supplements are working. If you're taking a berberine, look at your cholesterol. If you're taking a vitamin D, measure your vitamin D levels. Like, there's some very simple ways to go about it. If you're not getting your blood work done regularly, you should. It's probably one of the simplest ways that you can go about understanding if there's products that you're paying for out of pocket and spending good money on are actually working. It's very worth doing.
Are you not promoting your own content that you created with these nutrient journeys on SuppCo? I mean, come on.
SuppCo has nutrient journeys. It will tell you what's exactly happening in your body as you're taking your CoQ10, as you're taking your magnesium, as you're taking your fish oil. And will really help you understand, even if you're not feeling it at a physiological level, what's actually happening within your body as you're taking your supplement regularly.
Yeah, like for us, our kind of mission is not really done until we're creating the feedback loop that's giving you that answer. Mm-hmm. Is it working, or at least are you following the science, and this is what's happening in your body on day 45, day 90, and then ongoing. And we want to be just as aligned with the customer when they stop taking something that doesn't work for them as when they try something new, and that's like a pretty deep value of ours.
Okay, we're getting close to the end. We're going to do a quick lightning round. I want short answers from you both. Okay. So, one supplement that people should understand better, Steve.
I mean, I don't think many people know what MitoPure is from Timeline, and I think the data, it's probably one of the most well-researched things going on out there right now. And you talked to Darshan, who's on the panel who was our moderator yesterday, obsessed. Mark Hinman, obsessed. Like, the data there is real good.
MitoPure urolithin A. If you're looking for urolithin A is the supplement specifically referring to that.
It's the same for me. That's the one I've probably turned the most people onto. As a Timeline specifically is the one that I take, and I mean they've been around for 16 or 17 years. They have clinical studies showing that it improves mitochondrial health. And Sarah and I, this isn't a lightning round answer, I'm sorry, but Sarah and I were on a mountain bike trip this past year in Croatia, and there was a gentleman who was in his mid-60s, stud athlete, and all he was concerned about was mitochondrial health, so he could continue doing what he was doing in his 60s and his 70s and 80s mountain biking. So that really opened my eyes to like, what can I do now for mitochondrial health?
Okay, so one habit that changed everything for you.
Changed everything. Jeez. I'll just
Unlocked.
I'll reference the one thing I did on the panel. I don't have it. It's probably in my bag somewhere. Everyone's gonna laugh at it. But I have this little Y-shaped double strand floss pick that you can get on Amazon for $18. T-Smile 3rd generation floss pick, something like that. Super cheap, great, no affiliate fee, nothing. Just go. But it gets me to floss. And it's one of those things that is so important for your health, actually. Yeah. And it's one of those ones that, like, I'm telling you, if you floss and you go to your next appointment, they're like, you listen to me. This is amazing. No one ever listens to me. So, have fun with that one. It got me to floss.
I would say when I stopped drinking and I traded that for morning workouts, that was probably the biggest impact in my life. And I'd say the second biggest impact was in my 20s finding caffeine. I didn't drink coffee before my mid-20s, and it was when I first started competing in Ironman. I'm like, man, I can hit workouts now all day long.
One piece of bad health advice people still follow today.
You go first.
Jeez, I'm thinking. Come on, put me on the spot. I wouldn't say it's advice. It's more just marketing, but late night activities are the way. I feel like that's such a message that's ingrained with public marketing that you have to go to late night concerts, you have to go to late night bars. I mean, we go to bed around 8:30 every single night because I can't wait to live my day. I can't wait to go on the morning bike ride with Mike, and I can't wait to have the gym workout. Like, I really live for my days, and I treat sleep like a job, and I think most people don't treat sleep like a job. They massively neglect it, and sleep is like the number one performance enhancing tool.
All right, I got one. And this is like mixed controversial, but like I think in this crowd you get it. It's just honestly taking your doctor's word for it, especially when it comes to something like supplements. And like at this point, you have some incredible research tools. You have SuppCo, but ChatGPT and everything. Like there are doctors that have very outdated opinions of things. I remember when Kelly was seeing her OB, my fiance seeing her OB, and it's like, you know, he's only recommending you take magnesium oxide and everything else is poison. And like, you know, it's so outdated. So like, you know, make sure you're getting a second check on kind of everything that you're doing for your health.
I'll tell you mine is that red wine is a health food. It is not.
Good for your heart. Good for your heart.
You know, the amount of red wine you'd have to drink to get the resveratrol that would matter, not worth it, folks. And then my last question for you both, and we'll close up. What does being healthy actually mean to you today?
Yeah, honestly, it's picking up my son. It's having the energy to get through a full day of parenting. It's being able to throw him around and, you know, roughhouse and play. I mean, he's tiny, but you know, even in the next couple of years coming up as he gets bigger. But yeah, for me, that's the joy, and that's what I look forward to being able to do.
Yeah, I would say for me, it's perfect days. Figuring out what your perfect day is, replicating that, being around the people you want to be around, being in a community of people that you enjoy being around, environments that allow you to do the things that you enjoy, and just replicating those activities that you really enjoy instead of being succumbed to the public perception of success and just chasing, you know, more money, more stress, more headaches.
Eric, Steve, thank you so much. This has been phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.